All right. Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome to Beyond Your Radio Album Listen Challenge. Tonight, it's actually episode 2, but this one's the real deal because it's 1v1, one album versus another. These challenges feature our panelists challenging one another to albums they have not listened to. It can be that they know a single maybe from the record, but that's about it. Before we get to an all 1978-79 battle here, if you've not subscribed yet, I want to know what's holding you back. Is there a subscription minimum I'm not aware of?
There better be
stop one of those
country.
Stop one of those stupid rehashing trailer ones. You only need one trailer show. You don't need 17 of them. They all keep showing the same trailers, right? You know, if you need me to stop your scrolling room that's going on, you need more scrolling room, that's my selection for you. If you have subscribed, well, you're enjoying yourself, right? It's a new year, new albums, new shows, new favorites, and like tonight, new challenges. On the panel tonight, it's the woman who does her homework, her music homework. Why? Because I make her. Damn, Armitage Hicks Maloney.
Oh, yeah.
Happy New Year.
Her challenger, a young musician we're trying to corrupt in all kinds of audio ways, Everett James.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, whoa. Oh.
I'll say good afternoon and good evening because we're about 5 hours difference here. Were you guys aware when you did this that your albums were only a year apart?
No.
Well, when he sent me mine, I sent mine first, and when he sent me mine,
it's not a competition.
Jeez, yeah.
But I realized that they were both from the late 70s. Yes.
I didn't realize this until you literally just said it 5 seconds ago. So
yeah. and
I didn't really
considering, you know, there's a gap in age, which
a little bit.
This is why we do this, right? Everett, he's trapped in that Jimmy Buffett mindset, right? No,
yeah, definitely.
He listens to all kinds of great stuff, but he does love the Buffett.
Sure.
And you know, Deb is just waiting to impart her musical knowledge onto anyone who listens. So.
Oh.
Yeah, that's me.
So this is going to be a good one. Both these albums are brilliant in their own right. Lots to talk about. They will be scored on the album artwork, number 1. Number 2, the album flow of music, which means how the album goes from song to song throughout. The musicianship, band, and the melody of it all. The accessibility. That does not mean whether you can buy it in a record store. It means, is it easy to get into? Is it going to take multiple listens? Are you going to have to call an audiologist specialist to get through, or an interpreter? You know, those are tough. And then album production, which is, you know, was it put together well? Is there tinky sound? Did they screw up the drums? Is the person singing in the background, in the foreground? Or are they everybody on one track just jammed in there? So yes. There is no more overall rating. We used to do that. My figure is, why don't I just take the rating and divide it by 5, and that's what you're rating it. New this time. Finally, the last question will be, where does this fall in your listening habit? Number 1, I'm one and done. It's not for me. Number 2, your other option is, I liked it. It could grow on me maybe. Number 3, I really enjoyed it, and it will probably become an album I go back to from time to time. And finally, I can't believe I missed this. It's one of my favorite new albums. I would have died not hearing this. Are you kidding me? Well, maybe you don't get that excited. I don't know.
Well, Mark got a little dramatic there.
Yeah, yes. A little bit.
Some might say he got dramarket. Dramarket. Close enough.
So, Deb, yes. Lay it on us. What did Everett send you?
Well, it was, you know, Everett being the youngest panelist on our show, and from a decade we're not even going to talk about in which he was born, because I mean,
that much
really,
down.
you're a baby. I was I was not shocked. I mean, I've been on enough shows with Everett now that I wasn't stunned by his choice, just that I was more stunned that I've never listened to this album. So it's Warren Zevon, Excitable Boy, 1978. It was his third solo album, studio album. I didn't really know much about him. So what I decided to do, Everett, was I decided to listen to this album with pure mind and heart, not knowing anything about him other than Werewolves of London, which I confused
doesn't?
with who was the other band that I thought it was some other werewolf song or London Calling. The
Ah,
The Clash?
yeah, the Clash.
Maybe you see that?
No, I just mixed it up when we were talking about something in one of the shows. So,
Oh,
I put it on, and obviously I know the Werewolves of London. Um,
oh,
there was a couple other songs that I went, oh, I know those songs. Didn't know it was from this album, let alone from that artist. Um, and as I was listening to it, and keeping in mind 1978, I was a sophomore in high school. This was my time of really starting to listen to music on my own, not being influenced by, family members, parents, cousins, so on. Um, and as I listened to it two times through before I ever researched him as an artist. And I heard things like the very first song right away, Jackson Brown, right away. That's what I heard. I heard some Everly Brothers, Steve Winwood. Um, there was some songs in there that were very storytelling, like a Gordon Lightfoot. That was I think it was the second track that sounded like not so much his voice, but just the composition of it. And there was another one too. I can't remember which one was kind of like number two. And then there was one song that reminded
Roland.
me of what was it?
Was it Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Another
the
one
one.
that's telling a story, like it's telling a story. It seems historical and you're looking at it through the perspective of maybe somebody that, was in the war on the sinking ship or whatever, right?
Right.
There was one song, I think it was I Need a Truck, reminded
Okay.
me of the soundtrack from Brother Where Art Thou? George Clooney movie. That kind of backwoods sound
bluegrass.
without, pardon me?
A little bit of bluegrass.
Yeah, without being overly twangy and forward with it. There was a ballad in there, but the funniest thing that struck me when I was listening to this, when I got to the famous song, I went, "What? Kid Rock stole this whole song."
Well, yeah. I mean, you listen to the first 10 seconds of each of those songs, and it's just saying.
Well, so I had to look once I went and started researching, I'm like, how could he not get sued? I mean, this is note for note. Well, Kid Rock actually got permission to use it in
And then also, I think with Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner, I think there's something of a similar intro riff, isn't there?
yeah, yeah. Then that's what I couldn't put my finger on because when I was listening to this album, Everett, I went, "What is that?" I go, that's Leonard Skinner. And then
Yeah.
and then I went, "No," as I listen, I go, "That is exactly from Kid Rock's song." And then I looked it up and he paid, he made, or he got permission or whatever. But I thought,
I see.
oh my gosh, people are really ripping off dead people here because
Hey.
I mean, Warren's dead. Um, so there's
I
12.
think he died
Wait,
like 2 years before the album came out, because I think was that Rebel Without a Cause or was that Cowboy with Kid Rock?
I
What album
thought, no,
was?
Oh,
I
I
don't.
would have thought he died after.
Yeah, but I think that didn't Rebel Without a Cause come out in like 99 and then Kid Rock or like Cowboy like 05 or something? Or am I just
Oh, see,
totally?
this is the stuff I don't know. I didn't do my homework that diligently. I get a C plus if you're going to rate me.
Well, so his
Because he died in like 2003, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, he had mesothelioma.
mesothelioma.
I can't even say that.
All
He's
right.
like one of those guys from the commercial. If you have mesothelioma, there were 14 songs on this album, I believe. And then there was he did a piano version of a song that was on his first album. That's Tool's Blues was on his very first album, and then he did a piano rendition. And he did it said it was a string rendition of Frozen Notes, but I couldn't find that if that had been on a previous album.
And one thing real fast, I've actually found that on Apple Music, it doesn't have those last two songs.
Right.
It doesn't.
I just for the life of me, I've looked up, I can't figure out why, but it doesn't have those last two.
Interesting. Well, it was because when I first looked up the album and said, "Oh, there's 12 songs," then when I listened to it on Amazon Music, I'm going, "Wait a minute, there's 14 songs," and then that's
13.
or 13 maybe.
Well, I can clarify for our viewers.
Okay, thank you, because we're stumbling.
So the original version of Excitable Boy is probably in the 9-track realm. Okay.
Really?
All right. So you would have had Johnny Strikes Up the Band. You'd have had your Rolling the Headless Thompson Gun, Excitable Boy. You'd have Werewolves of London, Accidentally Like a Martyr, Nighttime in the Switching Yard. That's a great song. Veracruz, which Cauldron wrote most of, probably. Tenderness, On the Block, and Lawyers, Guns, and Money would be the ending track.
Okay.
2007, that album got reissued. And in 2007, they added I Need a Truck. That was an outtake from it. They added Werewolves of London's alternative version, which to me sounds like shit.
I didn't like it either.
Tool's Blues, the solo piano version. Well, from where? I don't know. I'm not a Zevonist.
Zevonite.
The Zevonite. Ooh, that sounds very retro. And then Frozen Notes, which apparently was supposed to be on the Disney Frozen record, but it didn't make it. No, I'm kidding.
It's gonna be like, this guy doesn't seem like Disney friendly.
No.
I think his
Interesting.
big controversy was like,
yes, and obviously when you hear Jackson Browne, there's a reason why.
Yeah, he toured with him, and then Jackson Browne produced this album, didn't he?
Yeah,
See, I did do my
also Mac Fleetwood, or the drummer for Fleetwood Mac, I think did some of the drumming on this album.
Yep.
Mick Fleetwood. Yep.
Mick. I was like, Mac.
Yeah, they actually
too American.
They had actually toured together at one point, him and Christy McVie and from Fleetwood Mac and Warren like roomed together or something. Right. That must have been interesting, and Warren Zevon, actually, this was a little piece of trivia that I found interesting. One of his first things he did early on in his career was he wrote jingles for television and radio ads.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then he was, a songwriter for a lot of different musicians and didn't really, get a start as a solo artist. I think Linda Ronstadt made a hit of one of the songs he wrote.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So that's my.
And she actually sings on the record too.
Really?
She's Excitable Boy. It's her voice.
Well, look at me. I didn't even.
No, not the.
No, not her.
No, not her. Ooh. No, I think I know who you mean. I'm not doing it right though.
No, it's not Excitable Boy.
Okay.
Well, okay. Well, that's interesting, and I didn't get that far in my homework, so thank you very much.
That's all good. So we're talking what, 78? Yeah. What were you listening to, and not this?
Oh, okay. I was listening to Zeppelin, Eagles, Genesis, Pink Floyd, and also things like, Billy Joel was big then, and Elton John. I liked pianists, so I liked their music. I kind of had that's pretty much a nice range between Zeppelin.
Oh no, there's not. I get that. I'm just trying to give an idea.
Yeah.
An idea of like, Werewolves of London was not the first track they put on radio, right?
Right.
They decided other things prior. I think that came way later, like 3 releases. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Okay.
so all right. So go ahead. You got
No, I mean that was the kind of music I was listening to. I don't know, maybe it just wasn't an influence for me. I mean, the 3 songs on there that were hits, I know them. I wouldn't have been
Right.
able to tell you who sang them, what album they were from, what year it was from. In fact, Werewolves, if I just that song alone, just a trivia question before I had this assignment, I would have thought was earlier than 78. Just, I don't know why. I guess I just don't have a time reference for it for anything in my life. That's usually how I remember what era a song or an album or an artist is from, is it was impactful at the time for something with me. And I guess I didn't have a boyfriend that liked it, you know?
This is look, this isn't gonna get you famous. This is odd, right? You're no David Bowie, so what?
No,
Hey.
no.
And what's great is that picture, if you look at other pictures, that picture makes them look a lot better.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, although
It does.
it has that American Psycho kind of thing going on.
Yeah,
Well, that's just mean.
Jeffrey Dahmer's cousin. Everett, we lost Everett.
We lost your picture.
Oh, 1 sec. Sorry, I had to. Okay.
So Deb, go ahead. Yeah. Any other pontifications?
No, I think he actually suffered from alcoholism. I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah. And I think
not that I, look that kind of stuff up, but it was in his bio.
That's what makes him so relatable for Dev. I mean, no, nothing. I didn't say nothing.
Nothing to see there. Just a whole lot of sunshine.
I know.
Oh my gosh. So no, I enjoyed listening to it 3 times today.
Awesome. The album artwork 0 to 5.
Okay, well, I was going to give it a 0.
Oh, come on.
But he did have to hold still for the camera, so I gave him 1.
Okay.
Did nothing for me at all.
It's certainly, if you went in there, you wouldn't buy the album. First of all, why wouldn't you? Because first, this is what you see, and when you're flipping, you don't see this because it's at the bottom. Again, I will tell anybody that's putting a record together, people thumb through the record. Anything you put on the bottom, no one will see. So put your name up there, put your top, whatever. Just don't do that crap. Although this was older, but still the same principle.
Yes.
All right. So album flow.
4. I gave it a 4. For no other reason than I guess I have stuck in my mindset when we do this. I'm a big Genesis fan, so I'm always, and Tommy from the Who. I'm always looking for if it's going to tell a big story.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
No.
Yeah, so a 4. Yeah.
The musicianship of band, melody.
I gave it a 4. I didn't find anything real super complex about it, but it was really pleasing and obviously good vocals, good instruments. I mean, the songwriting, everything. Yeah, 4.
You're with Zevon. For me, it's never been about the musicianship. It's about the delivery of the musical tone of what he's saying, right? And how it you could have had in the background with a kazoo. Wouldn't have mattered on some of the lyrics. You're like, oh my God, that's kind of frightening but hilarious at the same time.
Like, right? I Need a Truck. I don't think there's any instruments. I think it's just him singing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sounds different, but you're not like, what the heck? You're like, ew.
No, it's good. It's good. You just, I guess my thing with it was I wasn't noticing one thing over another.
Correct.
Just all blended really good. It was just a song. It was a song. It wasn't showcasing any specific anything. It, as a whole, each song was what he was trying to deliver, and he laid it down. I picked it up. How's that?
There you go. So on that note, accessibility.
A 5.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean it's right in the time when I was listening to the most music in my life. And it was very easy to listen to, and I was actually surprised that I've never listened to this album before.
Production.
5. I didn't hear anybody squeak or do anything bad, so
No, nothing that
sounds good to me.
agreed.
All right.
So maybe those 2 5s help for the one on the artwork to give it
Yeah,
a
that's
better.
gonna hurt
I
it.
don't know.
That's a 3.8. All
I
right.
don't know. I like the artwork. I mean, I get that it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it kind of encapsulate what the whole feel of the album is. Some guy there looking slightly awkward at the distance.
I guess.
Like,
I
I don't
guess.
know. To me, but
He's like
you know,
he's just looking
personal
Jeffrey
opinion.
Dahmer.
So what was he looking at? Because there's
Yes,
this flash of light in this.
I know.
You know,
The
that looks like
camera.
an amoeba.
The camera.
It's probably the flash of the camera. Yes. Let's not get deep. Thanks,
The
Everett.
flash, the little flash bulb
Hey.
on the Kodak camera.
That's probably what it was.
So Everett, you center the record. Obviously, you can give a little bit why or what you were thinking.
All right. Well, I sent it to her because it was one that I had recently gotten into, and I liked it, and I was like, this is kind of fun, but no one else besides Mark who had gone, yep, that's underrated, which, you can always count on Mark for something that's not really well heard to be like, yep, that's underrated, because in my opinion, most music is underrated, but whatever. So I was just like, I like this one. I'll give her something, kind of a little bit different. I was going to go with like maybe a Jimmy Buffett record, but then I was like, maybe later.
Yeah.
So.
That would have been predictable. So I'm glad.
I know. See,
I'm glad you threw something.
That would have been
You threw me a
samey.
curve.
See,
It wasn't
the problem
samey.
Nope, I try to avoid samey.
All right, Everett.
Wait,
Might be part of my bipolar disorder,
What?
but I'm not samey, that's for sure.
that's
Yes, Deb.
exactly.
Oh,
You
yes.
didn't.
Finally, yeah.
It's your
okay.
show.
Well, I was thinking I was going to do it at the end of both of them.
Okay.
But I think I'll do it now. That way we don't get off track.
I'm sorry.
So that last question would be, where does this fall in your listening habits? What do you think, Deb?
I'm number 3.
Number 3. I really enjoyed it. It will probably become an album I go back to from time to time.
Yep, definitely.
That's probably where I am with it. They're just those 3 songs are killer.
I know.
Headless, the guns, and yeah, they're just the killer.
Yeah, and now that I know they're all on the same album, I can just wrap Warren up into one little nice package, listen to this album, and I got my fix for, the next couple of years.
I will say my favorite song of his is Mutineer, but I only like the version that somebody else sings, not him. So,
oh, yeah, who did that?
Rob Dickinson.
Oh, not
from
Bruce
Catherine
Dickinson.
Wheel.
Oh, no, I would never have known that. But
my favorite
thank you,
of his
Everett.
songs. I think my favorite of his songs is the hockey song.
What's that?
It's oh gosh, the hockey song "Hit Somebody." It's funny. I would listen to it. It's
I'll
off of his.
Oh,
My
wait a
Bride
minute.
Is Here.
No, I do know it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So,
okay, the kid from Utah and Hawaii loved the hockey song.
Kid from
Got
Utah and Hawaii. Yep.
Awesome.
Big hockey fan.
Everett,
Whoa.
what album
Leaves.
did Deb send you?
All right, so Deb sent me, and I don't know if she read my mind or something, but this album had been on my list for a while. I was first introduced to The Logical Song, which is kind of the big hit off of this album by far.
Yeah.
From, believe it or not, The Simpsons.
Okay.
It was played in an episode. I heard it in that episode, and I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. So I kept listening to it. And that's about all I was introduced to and all I knew for a good while. And then I heard Goodbye Stranger a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, this is fun. And I was like, I should go check this album out. So far there's been 2 songs on it that I've really kind of liked. So I did check it out, and I liked it. It was... I didn't expect going into it. I kind of expected it to be with a Bachman Turner Overdrive, like I did with Jeff the other day, where I would be like, well, there's probably a reason why they only have these 2 or 3 songs, that everybody knows, and then everything else is just going to be kind of meh. No, The Logical Song and Goodbye Stranger are some of my least favorite songs on the whole album.
Really?
I mean, they're still They're still good. I still like them.
Right.
The others are just gooder, which is
Gooder.
And
Nice.
the
funner.
word. And
Funner and gooder.
You know, I think there is only one song on the whole album that I don't like really like, and I think that one's Casual Conversation. To me, that one's just kind of meh. But like
Right.
Nervous Wreck, Child of a Vision, Gone Hollywood, Breakfast in America, Take the Long Way Home. I mean, like these are all songs. I think I've listened to the album like 6 times the last couple days.
Yay. Yay.
It's almost kind of bad because I need to start listening to the Eagles albums, but I just keep coming back to this one because I swear to God, like 5% of the Eagles songs are available on YouTube Music. It's ridiculous. So
Oh,
I just keep coming back to this album and I'm like, this is, you know, it's got some really, I love the vocals in it, you know. You've got like 2 sets of vocals, you know. You kind of got the higher pitched guy who does like
yeah.
and then like the guy from Goodbye Stranger. They might be the same person. They might not be. I'm not
Different
entirely
register.
sure. The different
Jeez,
register,
do
just
I know
he's
that?
singing
Whether
like
it is,
this or
you know
singing
what?
like this.
I don't know.
I have to
What?
say that Supertramp is one of the bands that I don't know any of the artists' names.
You know, like
But they were
Roger
so
Hodgins.
huge. They were so, but I wouldn't be able to just say it off the top of my head. I mean, they were, to me, they, not that they were one and done, but it was a very condensed time period in which they
Yeah.
were popular. And, and I didn't follow anybody from that band's career past Supertramp that I know of, like purposely. Maybe I'm sure Mark could spew off names of bands that some of them were in. I go, oh, really? Oh, really? Not anything that's
Yeah.
familiar to me
I
that
can't.
I
I cannot off the top. You're putting me on the spot.
really
I
interesting.
can't. Hodgson goes like beyond. Like I have no clue. Right.
As far as I
Interesting.
know, all they
He's
did
the
was a
he's
bunch
the
of
Take the
super
Long Way
tramp.
Home. He's the vocalist on Take the Long Way Home. Writer and
Right.
vocalist, and then Davies is your your casual conversation, which we all don't.
Yeah.
And or is it? Yeah, I think so.
Oh, and John Hellowell. Oh, he was the woodwind guy.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm not taking over your critique here,
Yep.
Everett.
Sorry, Everett.
Continue
Yeah,
on.
you're good. But no, it was an album that I really liked. I listened to it on a walk I took the other morning. It was kind of rainy outside, and I had my raincoat on, and it was like the perfect weather to be listening to that song. And I listened to it once, and I'm not gonna lie, it did feel, and I was, thinking about a million things on that walk. And they did kind of start to blend together a little bit in the center.
Yeah.
But it never got to they started to kind of became a little bit homogenous, but not to the point where I was like, I couldn't tell this was a new song. That wasn't, this song has been going on for 20 minutes when no, really, it's been 5 4-minute songs.
Mhm.
It never nearly got that bad. It never got samey. And that samey is one of the things I liked about this album. None of the songs sounded like the logical song, besides the logical song. None of them sounded like each other, but they all sounded like Supertramp. They all had
Yes.
an overall sound that didn't sound like one another, but sounded like all of them together.
Mhm. Yeah.
Which,
No, it's true. I mean, I was thinking to myself, like, I don't know who I would liken to Supertramp as a band.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. They're different.
yeah, and I mean, like I said, I really like the vocals. I have never heard that kind of higher pitched vocals and actually been like, wow, I really like that. Not, what? Can he stop screaming into the microphone? It sounded, it was
Mhm.
high, but it wasn't too high that it affected the music poorly and hurt the music.
Mhm.
And I also just really like the musical palette that they use. Like there was saxophones, which is something I think there should be more of in rock music. Cause I mean, you've got Baker Street, you got some Men at Work that all use saxophones. And I think
Mhm.
those are just really fun. And then this used some, you got like harmonicas, you got some woodwind instruments. You've got, looking at sheet music and just looking and hearing it, you got some really sparse drum parts. I mean, just the overall musical palette of this album is just so crazy. It's, you know, it's a very unique, distinct sound that
Yes.
I have never heard anything kind of like it. Like,
If you can
It's
hit
like-
distinct, this is what this record sold. It's probably diamond status in the U.S. I'm
Oh,
sure I
yeah.
didn't.
Here.
But I mean, if you get that distinct, you win. You know, and this
Mhm.
album won. Is it the greatest produced album of all time? No. Is it mind blowing in its writing of songs? Probably not.
No.
But that melody, that underlying thing, right? So anyway, I'll let you.
And the delivery of the vocals themselves and the way they were sung were just like the whole time. Like there's been some parts, and I would say I think is the main thing that I like about this album. The musicianship is good. It's not like incredible. It's not like the reason I would listen to this, but it's really the vocal performance is what really is like so like interesting about this album to me.
Yep.
But yeah, that's
Are
about
you
all.
are you ready for your percentages and so your points?
All right, hit me with them.
The album artwork.
I'll give this a 5. I mean, it's distinct. It's kind of funny, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
It's just
Can't go wrong with that.
no. I mean,
Huh?
someone pointed out that the lady in the front is meant to be the Statue of Liberty. I
Yep.
never got that. I mean, like,
Oh, okay. That's a
Yeah.
good point. I'm sure there are people that didn't.
I never did.
Okay.
I never did either, and I owned that album.
All right.
I just thought she was serving up breakfast, but it kind of makes
Yeah.
sense.
I
Duh.
just wish I could read her name tag. I don't know if that's Flo.
It looks like Dolores or something. I'm not gonna lie.
Dolores.
It
The
looks like a
album
Dolores.
flow of music.
Oh,
I'll give this one a 5 too. I think it's there. Okay, yeah, no, a 5. It felt overall there was never a part where I was like listening to it again and listening to it focusing on the music. It doesn't have that homogenous feel at all. You know, each song feels different. There's some faster tempo ones, there's some slower tempo ones, and it just has a very good wide variety where you don't feel like you're just stuck at a deadline pace.
Got it.
You're not flatlining, which I appreciated.
The musicianship of the band, the melody, that kind of stuff.
I'll give this one a 3. It wasn't bad, but there was nothing about it that really struck me as incredible.
All right. Accessibility.
See, this one's tough for me because on one hand, I personally really like the sound of this record, but I could totally see someone else, this is just not their cup of tea and it is just too kind of wild and weird. So I'm going to have to put that one at a 3 too.
Okay.
I liked it, but I don't know if you will. Kind of thing.
Album production.
A 4. There was nothing to me that was like out of the ordinary, you know. Everything felt well balanced. Nothing too.
That gives it a 4.
No.
So, I will say this about listening to this again, and I'll ask the question of my panelists. And if you need explanation, I'll give it to you. Is this a rock album or is this a prog album?
Yes.
I'd say Prague.
Prog
Yeah.
rock.
What makes it prog?
What makes it
Higher
Prague?
technical abilities as far as musicianship goes?
Yeah, the keyboard.
But like
For
Rush
sure.
doesn't have any keyboard, and Rush is
Yes,
tradition-
Russia has keyboard, don't they?
Rush had a very deep phase of keyboard that most people
Mhm.
were pissed, but that's
Mhm.
prog.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
you
I
can
don't
be
know. I
progressive.
always
You can be progressive in your nature of delivering the music. That's a different story. But true prog,
It's
most
keyboard.
prog people will tell you it has to have keyboard, right? And that's my one problem with this album. Is
not
that
enough keyboard or too much
like
keyboard?
no, the keyboard's at the same tone in several of the songs, that almost sound similar.
Oh, really?
They're
Okay.
they're not low. There's never any low
Yeah.
end of this. It's always at that decibel, I guess, is for me. At least that's how I'm hearing it, right? So
Right.
Yeah, but that's what was interesting for me with that album, I think, or with the band itself, was that it was that way. So it wasn't overtly in my ear like an Emerson, Lake and Palmer,
oh yes,
a
that I
Yes.
love that it
It
didn't
was
go.
balanced back.
Yes, it didn't go to Stupidville. Yes.
Yeah, like where
Yeah.
we had the whole theatrics behind it.
Yeah, when they
But I
step
know what
off
you're
the
saying.
and they step off the keyboard ledge and suddenly I'm hearing Pac-Man shit in the background. Yeah. I'm out. Yeah, Ozark
Yeah,
tentacles. Buh.
That's fair.
Anyway. All right. So on that, Everett. Finally, the last question is: where does this fall in your listening habits? This is obviously not a one and done for you.
No, this is a 4. Straight up 4. No question.
Yay!
Awesome.
I have listened to this album more times than I realistically should have in the last about 5 days.
Awesome.
I mean,
Wow.
My job is done here
Good job,
for
Deb.
Drop the
2024.
mic. Although
Just don't get
you didn't
just
score,
don't get
you
too
didn't score
safe at the
perfect.
top.
Yeah, he didn't
No.
score perfect, but
I mean, hey. Yeah.
I will thank the panelists tonight for participating. We will return in 2 weeks. Alex Kulizny, who's always wrong, is up against the Grateful Dude, and I think he's got a whopper of a record to give me. I'm really
Yay.
looking forward to what the Grateful Dude thinks of this record. Please comment. We'd love to know your impression of these two remarkable albums at different recordings. Certainly a large fabric of how great the 70s continued to be, even though the 80s were trying to ruin it. Don't forget to
You're
hit
in
the
that
like
camp.
button. Tell your friends. Tell your neighbor. Tell your teacher, your dog walker, your mail person, your spiritual advisor, maybe your parents. You know what?
Sing
No,
it
don't
from
tell
the
your parents.
rooftops.
Yes, shout it from the rooftops, right?
Beyond
Album
your
Review
radio.
Saturdays is next up on the channel. On Saturday, I'll be reviewing the albums of Harp, Haiku Hands, and the newest from the Revivalists, along with a few other surprises. One of them, the album's name, is one of the panelists on the show tonight. So until then, thank you for watching, and always, happy listening.
bye.
Bye.